Duty-free stuff. I know you've been there. You go through an airport, you make your way through airport security after being patted down by every single person there. That might be just me. But once you get through, you go through to the waiting lounge, where you have an entire plethora of shops to pick from to go and buy all of the duty-free stuff you want. And for anyone that's been to an airport before, you know that a lot of these duty-free goods are normally sold at a bargain price. But my question today, which is something I've always wondered, is what is duty-free? And how does it all work? Hello! Welcome to Brain Spill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and if I'm going to get an ocular pat down from multiple security guards, at the very least, I want to make sure that I can buy some cheap stuff in the airport afterwards, just to make it all worthwhile. Yes, the duty-free section at airports is usually the purchase of various items at heavily discounted prices compared to if you walked into the high street shop and bought the same thing. And, like me, you may not have even batted an eyelid at the fact that you'd picked up a bottle of gin at a pretty decent price. But why does duty-free exist? And why do they even do duty-free in the first place? So, to put it simply, most countries, whenever something is sold, they will apply a duty or a tax to it, such as the sale of cigarettes, alcohol, and chocolates, for example, where they will charge a little bit more to basically tax people. So, when it comes to duty-free, the name's in the pudding. Duty-free, meaning that these items are sold without this tax element on, so people can go ahead and sell these products without having to pay these taxes. Which means that the cost is not passed on to the consumer, and therefore they can buy stuff at a discounted price. It almost seems like a win-win. So, for example, in the UK you pay 20% as a standard tax for cigarettes and alcohol, which in the duty-free section of an airport, you basically don't pay that 20% in addition, which is pretty sweet. Hence why your mate always asks you to bring back hundreds of boxes of cigarettes when you come back from holiday just because you can. Just me? Okay. Obviously, things like alcohol and cigarettes are an obvious example of things sold on duty-free, but it doesn't have to necessarily be these products, it can be most things, which is why you see so many big label brands and fashion designers have their own outlets or own products on sale in these airport lounges, because they can sell those things as well, duty-free. And if you think about it, it's easy money. People might be going on holiday, for example, and have to wait in an airport lounge for 2 hours, not knowing what to do, and thinking, well, I've got this leftover money, I may as well spend it in that shop over there. And if it's cheap, then it will probably give people a good reason to kill a few hours to go around shopping. And the way this is all set up is that it's intended that if you were to buy something in the duty-free section of an airport, that you're intending on taking that item with you when you leave the country. In not very long, because you've got a flight to catch. But why do countries do this? You'd think that a country would want to have every opportunity to tax their citizens as much as they can. I mean, especially if there's people in the airport with money to spend, why not tax them too? Aha, well, this is the difference. Duty-free shops are often found in the international zone of international airports, seaports, and train stations, meaning that technically you're not in the country purchasing products and being taxed by the local taxation rules, hence duty-free. Goods can also be bought duty-free while on board of the given international travel, which makes sense because you're technically not in the country anymore. Yeah, that's right. I'd like to see and try you tax me when I'm 30,000 feet in the air. This is all well and good, but before you go and try and buy the entire shop's worth of goods, there is normally a limit on this sort of thing. You can't walk in with 10 shopping trolleys worth of stuff and walk out thinking that you're not going to pay any tax on it at all. No. Don't be silly. There's obviously limits to these things. But why? I mean, aside from the fact that you don't want people to take the piss with this also means that if you're buying your goods duty-free and then intending on travelling with them, that you're technically classed as an importer. So if you were to buy something, you're technically importing that good into the destination that you're due to fly to. And that has limits depending on where you're going to. In the UK, for example, which, yes, I'm going to keep using this as an example because the government website is pretty damn clear about it, states that any goods you bring falls under a personal allowance, which normally is for your own use or maybe as a gift if you're buying it for someone else. Yes, there's technically nothing stopping you at the time from buying as much duty-free stuff as you want, but if you breach the rules or the allowances you're allowed to take to the country you're flying to, normally you need to declare it. This gets even more complicated when there are normally lists of goods which cannot be brought into a country which are effectively restricted, such as endangered animals, weapons, controlled drugs, indecent material, or the importing of dairy products from non-EU countries. Yeah, one of these things aren't like the others, folks. I mean, this obviously makes sense. I mean, the country you're flying to as an importer has a few things to consider. They need to make sure that whatever you're bringing into the country doesn't have a major impact on things like security, the economy, or the environmental impact that some of these items may have. And some countries take this incredibly seriously, especially if you're going to bring something into the country which might affect the ecosystem. So, this personal allowance, how much is it? How much can you take? Well, like I mentioned, it is entirely dependent on where you're flying to and what the import rules are for the particular country. So if you are going to do it, don't take my word for it, actually look it up before you go. But, just as an example, the UK. The allowances are actually pretty generous. It says that you can have either 42 litres of beer, 18 litres of wine, 4 litres of spirits and 200 cigarettes. You could theoretically bring all of that into the country without having to pay UK tax duties on it, but don't take my word for it. Check it yourself to make sure that the rules are being followed, but basically, if you want to host a party when you're at land and after you come back from your trip, then you've got enough of your own personal allowance to sink a battleship. Absolutely brilliant. So, in the event that 42 litres of beer isn't enough for you, you could technically bring more, but you just need to be prepared to pay some import duties on top of that, especially if it's something which goes over that personal allowance you're allowed to bring. Or maybe bring a friend, and they can also get another 42 litres of booze. So yes, that's the wonderful world of duty-free. Yay, incredibly cheap stuff, which is something that is close to my heart. Countries of the world, I ask you this. If you've got a bunch of people in an airport that are bored for 2 hours and they need something to do, then I implore them to watch this video and listen to me talk about a duty-free for 10 minutes because you might learn something out of it, and at the very least then you can stop staring at that wall and look at something different whilst you're waiting for your delayed flight to come on. It just makes me wonder how many people found this video by simply typing into Google, "What is duty-free?" and then seeing me pop up. So if that is actually you and you've seen it that way, then let me know down below because it'd be interesting to find out. But hey, if you like the video, then you should stick around because there's plenty more where this came from. If you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. Right, next time I go away somewhere, I'm bringing a huge rucksack with me. Enough to fit maybe about precisely 42 litres of beer in it. You know, just because I can. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.